Start you off here. This drawing, when you take a look at it, a little bit sketched out. The preliminary drawing of seeing the head, the body or the rib cage, the torso, pelvis, and it's still on a gestural drawing, so you're trying to keep the action, line of action is what they call it, to stretch through, representing a little bit of the spine actually. So it's trying to show you that as a segment. Once you try to resimulate, kind of sketched it out. Here's the circle for the pelvis, torso, and the head up at this area right here, and connected with the spine. As you get to the legs, if you can see through them from shoulder to shoulder, hip to hip, and try to establish the perspective, as well as a little bit of a gestural line so that it becomes very loose. So it's almost exactly, not almost at all, just a stick figure. The tail kind of goes up and out, so it's kind of an extension right from the spinal cord. Then when you get to the individual pieces, it's the same idea that you want to try to keep this gesture sketch across, is that you have the circular part, but even with the squash and stretch, this isn't really a perfect circle, but almost like an egg shape, oval shape. Still has a center line, and creating a little bit of a eye line going around this part that you see and around the other side. Now you don't necessarily see all of the parts on the other side, so starting off with a circle becomes a semicircle with the cheek coming in there. The other side, you see very little. And going to extend this now to start having the iris and the pupil a little highlight in there. Okay, again, just toss a little bit of sketch in there for the eyebrow. And as the nose comes out, this is kind of a circular piece, but it's really based off of this extension. It's circular in theory, but it's all mushed together and stretched out, showing the front parts of the mouth. But you can look for key structural clues of the anatomy. In this case, it's going to use the nose, because it's an extension right from here, bringing it out to give you that elongated snout of the dog. And then it'll also have a center line, so it's not necessarily a ball shape anymore, but it's a circular shape just pushed and pulled from front and back. It's going to have a connection to the front of the face. You can see the left, actually their right side, hidden on the other side. A little bit of this cheek built up, and then done enough of the head construction where you have the ear again bending this direction and up, so it also has a gesture sketch to it as well, and two sections at the top, just kind of giving it that animated look to it. The mouth, if you can see it still wants to be anatomically correct for cartoon anatomy. Is the circular part showing the front, and then again that lower lip being that segment across. And within there is going to be the parts that you keep or take away. And then as you go through the rest of the character, the pelvis and the chest, just kind of connecting these almost creates this bean type of a shape. And the feet at the extension, kind of inward slant, and the leg coming around. So if you can find the circles for the joints, that's just going to help you with the final connection of this. So it really builds this up. Tapers, it's almost like a cylindrical shape tapering off into the piece. Even this back leg kind of stretches out, and there's the circle. The tail's kind of haphazard, but you can still look for a structural piece to it. And building that accordingly. And now you have it pretty well sketched out to the point where you can go back in and start the delineating a little bit more of the line work. So we'll start with the head. It does have the neck and a collar, so keeping the neck just as a cylindrical shape. If I cross contour those lines, you can see it even easier. And then it's just a matter of taking a look. No matter how much sketch lines you have, don't worry about it. You can lose it in the shading, so it's not going to be an issue. But if I focus on the eye first, the iris coming up, and the pupil, kind of bends that shape up in there. And again, try to find the thin and thick lines to get the attachment to it. As it goes. Now as you're going through it, you can probably throw a little shadow up in there. Section in there. Go around the bridge of the nose. It's kind of building that piece all together. Now it doesn't really show the top lip, but gives you a little bit of the mouthpiece right there. So that's building that section up. So then as you come around, again, this collar, a double. Thickness for this part. And the wrist showing that two-tone, kind of the fur. Wrapping that out. So there's the front paw. Just kind of working your way down. Back here. A little bit of the shoulder difference. Just kind of giving a nice look to it. Builds that up. And this outside foot's kind of inside, tapering in a little bit. Wrapping that around. Build that part up. I'm just trying to make the so it gives you the good outline, thin and thick lines coming out. And building this section up here. So if you see the illustration is going to have this shading coming in. So just trying to go through half of this to get the shading there. So that'll give you the look to it.
Okay. So maybe we did.
So once you get it, then go back in with the
No,
shading
this
to it.
would be a small group of kids smaller than this. Yeah.
And kind of building that section up there.
And if there's just, you don't have any EMT section?
So kind of building that up there.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to, but, and then the only other thing was.
And just kind of look at the values coming around.
Somewhere, 'cause then those two are gonna talk to each other, where everybody else is kind of.
Kind of build that in there.
Oh, does it matter? Because I just wanted the order she sent in. Oh, well then no. I guess
Okay.
not. I didn't know, because if no one else made stuff like electronic.
So just going a little
Yeah, and then for some reason they ended up right next to each other.
light
It's
to
fine,
dark there.
but that one's a duplicate, so if you can find one, you can, look at them. Do you have them saved somewhere? Either all first,
So that'll get you the values. So once you get the linear side of it, try to get the values in there.
Okay, yeah, because there's DSL, retail, and CW.
Kind of give a two-tone, you can see the under color texture.
So it would be, what they would consider students. So seniors, I guess, maybe.
You can put a little shadow down there at the bottom.
Community work, yep, and you have